I am genuinely at this point saddened by what's happening down in the city of Burien, a city that is trying really hard to deal with its homelessness crisis, but is being blocked by politicians in King County. This segment is brought to you in partnership with our friends over at Future 42. Turn your frustration into action at future42.org. So we continue to follow this story out of Burien because I think, to me, it is so indicative of the not only breakdown in communication, but I think the cowardice and the ideology that has led to this point that we're in with the homelessness crisis, where we've spent billions and billions of dollars on it, not only local and county funds, but state funds and federal funds, and we're no better off today than we were last year or the year before or the year before or the year before. And so you have some cities that are like, we've had enough. We can't wait for the county to take action. We can't wait for the state to take action. We've got to take action to control what we can control. So you've had these municipalities run by Republicans, run by Democrats, with nonpartisan mayors all across the board that have said, we're going to institute some sort of camping ban because we cannot allow this homelessness crisis to continue to erode the quality of life in our communities. And so, yes, we're going to continue to try to get them help. Yes, we're going to continue to try to connect them to services and get them off the streets and get them help for their substance abuse. But in the meantime, no, they're not going to be camping in our parks. They're not going to be camping next to our playgrounds where kids are. They're not going to be camping in front of City Hall. They're not going to be camping in alcoves in front of businesses. We're not going to allow it. And that's common sense. So the city of Burien became one of the latest cities to do that and to take an action where they put an ordinance on the books that was consistent, they believed, and I believe, with existing federal court precedent that says you can ban camping if there is shelter to refer someone to. And that's kind of the rule, right? As long as you've got a place for them, and if they say no, sorry, you can't camp here. So, and the Burien homeless issue is terrible. If you've seen, we've been playing video on the show. I mean, there's tents up and down their downtown core. You know, they've been in parks, they've been outside City Hall, and they come along with all sorts of substance abuse issues, quality of life issues, crime issues, same as anywhere else. Burien is not on an island in this. All the cities around King County and to the north and to the south are dealing with this. So they passed this ordinance, and they're thinking, okay, you know, we're going to have the King County Sheriff's Office, which we contract with for public safety services. We're going to have them enforce this, and we're going to get this little situation under control. And these people are going to be given an offer of shelter, and if they refuse, they're out. Well, then, completely blindsided the city of Burien, the King County Sheriff, who is now a political appointee, Patty Cole Tyndall, because King County voters decided they didn't want to elect their sheriff anymore. They wanted a politician to choose their sheriff. She came out and had announced that they would not only would they not be enforcing Burien's ordinance, but they were going to sue the city of Burien over that ordinance. Here's a clip of a King 5 report.
This is all motivated by politics.
Burien Mayor Kevin Schilling believes
I appreciate that question.
King County Executive Dow Constantine is behind today's announcement.
The chief says whatever Dow Constantine wants her to say. She's the appointed sheriff of the King County Executive.
This is 100% my decision. The executive gives me full authority for the operational considerations for the King County Sheriff's Office.
So she comes out and says, we're not going to enforce this. We think it might be unconstitutional. So what we're going to do is we're going to file a lawsuit against the city of Burien, and we're going to let a judge hash out whether their ordinance is constitutional. Did that without talking to the city of Burien, without talking to the mayor, without saying, hey, you know, this is the sheriff. I know that you contract with us and we have a responsibility to provide public safety services to the citizens of your city. I have a lot of concerns about this ordinance that you guys have passed. Can we talk through it? Can we talk about where to go from here? Can't have that. We can't possibly expect a functional government that communicates with each other in the interest of public safety of the citizens. No, we're just not going to enforce it. In fact, the city of Burien and the mayor, Kevin Schilling, found out from our friend Jason Rantz over at KTTH that the sheriff's office wasn't going to enforce the ordinance. And then when Burien says, what the heck, they turn around and sue. Just wild stuff. We had Mayor Kevin Schilling, a lifelong Democrat, a tried and true blue politician. We had him on the show recently where he expressed his utter frustration with the failure of communication and the stance the sheriff's office has taken. Should you have worked with the sheriff's office in crafting that ordinance?
Well, we did.
What is she talking about then?
Great question. The reason why it exists is because we worked with our sheriff's deputies and the city police chiefs to make sure it was something that they'd be comfortable enforcing.
So you worked with the deputies, the local police chiefs, but what, just not the sheriff herself?
Well, they are the sheriff's department. Because we contract, so our city police chief is the sheriff's department by extension of the office. So our city attorney worked with them, and in fact, the amendment was requested by the police and service providers. So they knew about it because we'd already passed the initial regulation last year. And I think that this is the byproduct of us losing voter approval of an elected office. And it's the byproduct of giving that office to someone else to control and direct.
Yeah, so now you've got a highly ideological politician, King County executive, Dow Constantine, who controls the sheriff and who, for whatever reason, I mean, I have my beliefs, doesn't want Burien to be able to keep tents off of their public spaces, to be able to make their city more safe and more beautiful and have businesses thrive. I mean, I tend to think that King County sees all the money that comes in that they get to throw at the homelessness crisis and give to all these politically aligned organizations. And it's like, well, we can't possibly allow these cities to fix the homeless crisis on their own. We can't have that. I mean, I tend to think that's part of it. So anyway, what a mess, right? What a disaster. And what are we talking about at the end of the day here? We're talking about human beings suffering on our streets. That is what this is about. This is about having actual empathy for human beings suffering on our streets with substance abuse or mental illness or both, and trying to come up with a way that connects them to help while also making sure that they're not interfering with everyone else's right to feel safe in their community, to enjoy their parks and walk down the sidewalks without being blocked, to run a business without having a tent in their alcove. How can we not find a way for these two things to exist at once? That we have empathy and care and concern and give help to the homeless while also saying, yeah, but we're going to do all those things and you got to get off the sidewalk. You can't be here in front of a business. So anyway, this whole mess, this whole back and forth has now come, I think, to a natural conclusion or course of events, which is the city of Burien is now suing the sheriff's office. And I don't blame them. I hate that it's so messy. I hate that it comes to this. But the city of Burien announcing that it is going to sue the sheriff's office for breaching their interlocal agreement, which is the agreement that says the sheriff's office is supposed to carry out law and order in the city of Burien, which includes enforcing their municipal codes. So here we are in all of this. And I like Mayor Kevin Schilling, and he even mentioned when he was on the air that they might have to do this and not pay the King County Sheriff's Office until they start fulfilling their obligations under this agreement. But you look at all this is just a microcosm of the greater dysfunction in our state. The fact that as the mayor of a city, you can't do what you think is best for your city to keep it safe, to keep it welcoming and visitable, to keep the economy strong. You can't do that without being lorded over by a politician sitting in an ivory tower in Seattle. And that you, as a mayor, can be actually trying to deal with the homelessness crisis in a meaningful way, a crisis King County government has allowed to get worse over a decade. But when you dare to try to take over the reins, to take control of your city's destiny, that same elected leader who's been in office for almost 16 years, who has failed on this crisis every step of the way, he's going to try to put you under his foot? Because, and I think that's part of it too. God forbid these mayors step up and deal with the homelessness crisis themselves in a way that's more effective than what Dow Constantine has done for 16 years. He can't have that. So he's going to put blockade after blockade after blockade in their way. And he's going to kill homeless people along the way. That's what this is doing. And there's already been 2 deaths now in encampments in Burien since King County said it's not enforcing the camping ban. All right, that segment was brought to you in partnership with our friends over at Future 42. Turn your frustration into action at future42.org.